Hey, you all. Welcome back to Mirror Expressions, a channel where I take the time to share a little bit of myself with you all. And I invite you all to come on in and do the same with me. Go ahead, do me a solid, hit that subscribe button. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up. Also, let me know you like this video, share it with others, and drop me a mirror emoji in the chat if you have looked in the mirror today and you are feeling A1 with what you see looking back at you. Y'all, and if you're not, do what you must to get back to a healthier you, especially this season. I know a lot of people deal with like seasonal depression, and especially like this time of year, like I said. So make sure y'all are taking care of your mental health. All right, cool beans, y'all. So I just kind of wanted to, I've been watching a little this and that over the last week on Netflix. I just wanted to come and share with y'all so I can get y'all feedback on things. This may be something I kind of implement once a week. I'm calling it Flix Friday. And just come and let y'all know what I've been watching, and without going into like a deep review about it. And just kind of see what y'all got from it, what y'all drew from it, and just to put it out there like, hey, check this out. And then y'all drop back at me like, what else would you like for me to check out? You know what I'm saying? So anyways, most of the shows I think I'm going to talk about today all came off of Netflix. That's not going to necessarily always be the case, but for today's sake, yeah, so the first one was Wednesday. I had heard a lot of people chittering and chattering about Wednesday, and so I decided to watch it, and I think I binged it in like 2 days. Y'all, I loved it. If you have not watched Wednesday, and like I said, this is on Netflix, please go and watch it. It was actually good. Like, I'm sitting here waiting on season 2 already, so it kind of just follow Wednesday from the Addams family, and she was sent to this school for outcasts called Nevermore because she was cutting up in her regular school. Like her little brother had been bullied, and so she ended up putting some piranhas in the pool to eat up the guy that was bullying her brother. So they ended up sending her to this school for outcasts called Nevermore. And so pretty much all the kids in Nevermore have like some kind of oddities about them, like that they can do, or like for instance, her roommate was a werewolf, you know, some can do mind tricks, some can make stuff come to life, whatever they drop. So like they all got something going on with them. But anyways, so right away, when she gets to the school, and mind you, this is also the school like where her parents went to. So when she gets to the school, she figures out that there's some kind of monster there, but nobody else knows like who it is or really much about it. But it becomes kind of pronounced throughout the season that, yeah, there is this monster, because she actually supposedly saw like one of her classmates get killed. But then the next day he was there, like then nothing happened. She saw it in front of her eyes that he got deleted by this monster or whatever. And so kind of find out the headmaster or headmistress of the school, Miss Williams, Principal Williams, she was a shapeshifter. So like I said, everybody has something. And so she was able to shape herself to looking like the little boy, to make it look like he really was not unalive by this monster. But y'all, long story short, the purpose of the season, season 1, was trying to figure out who this monster was, because it had to be one of them, right? And so Wednesday was kind of like pointing her fingers at everybody, and she thought it was this guy that had a crush on her. His name was Xavier, but it wasn't him. She thought it was Principal Williams at one point, but it ended up not being her. She thought it was her therapist, but it wasn't the therapist. And so, y'all, it ended up being a little guy she actually started to have a romance with. He had been chasing her, and she finally kind of conceded, like, toward the end. But he ended up being the one that was the monster. But at the end of the day, they got him. She made friends with her roommates because she, you know, had this hard hysteria. She didn't want to get anybody close, let anyone get close to her. Like when the roommate would come in and try to hug her, she would like step back. Yeah, the season ended with her. They got rid of the monster. She and her roommate were actually buddies. She gave in to them being buddies. It had a happy ending. Like I said, I'm ready for season 2. I know y'all have seen that show already. What did y'all think about it? Did y'all like it or what? Like, I want to know. It was good to me. It was good to me. I just hope it's not a long time before we get to the season two of it all. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's worth watching. The next one, so that was the show. So then I watched this movie called Yara. Look, I don't speak Spanish, so forgive me for if I'm pronouncing it wrong. We just gonna say Yara, okay? I ain't trying to roll no R's no more, because baby, I can't do it. But, so that was a movie, and basically, I think the girl in the movie, it was like a young girl. Look, now, no, because I've got a lot on. I'm trying to think of. She was maybe about 13, 14, somewhere up in there. 13, 14, 15, somewhere up in there. A dancer. And she had gone to her dance studio, right? And the mom was just like, you know, don't stay long. So she actually just went to go drop off a radio to them because their music system had gone out. And so mom had told her be home by 6:45. So she left the studio by 6:30, y'all. Studio was not far from the house. She was walking. And y'all guessed it, she never returned home. And so it took them a while, and they ended up finding the body. And so 3 or 4 years later, they're still trying to figure out what happened to the girl. And so they ended up finding some DNA on her, right? And so from the DNA, they were actually able to work backwards. So what I mean is they found the DNA, and so they started testing everybody in that area to see if they were a match, right? And so didn't come up with a match or whatever. And some kind of way, I think another scientist or somebody like came to the prosecutor and said, well, there's a allele that was found in the DNA, and it can only belong to a woman, yada, yada, yada. So wait a minute, I'm getting ahead of myself. So the first DNA, this is how they came about it. So the first DNA, they were able to tell that it belonged to a man. They even went so far as to kind of be able to describe the guy's complexion and his eyes. He had bright eyes, you know. They knew that from the DNA, but that was about as specific as they could get, right? So they started testing the people, and it came down that somebody was a match, but they were not an exact match, meaning that this person was related to whoever the person that hurt their baby. They were related to that person. So they were just like, okay, like a brother, a sibling, you know. So they go to the guy that had the match, and he thought he was getting in trouble. And they was just like, because he was like, look, do I need to call my lawyer? Like, what's up? I ain't had nothing to do with this. And they were just like, no, trust me, you're okay. And so they wanted to ask him, well, do you have any siblings? Yada, yada, yada. He did. But long story short, none of his siblings were a match. So they were just speculating. They were like, well, you know, if none of his siblings are a match, And they could tell that the DNA came from whoever the father of the guy was, that maybe that father had stepped out on his family and had an outside child. So they go see the mother to the guy because the mother is still alive, but the father is dead, right? So they go see the mother and they're kind of talking to her like, hey, we think your husband might have had another child because yada, yada, yada. We've tested all your children and we know this DNA is related to them, but none of them are an exact match. So there has to be another person out there. And so they want to kind of get some DNA of the father. But like I said, he was deceased. So they was just like, well, do you still have some clothes of his? Okay, first the mother was like, hell no. Basically, like, I know my husband, he ain't cheat on me, but baby, he did. And so they were just like, well, do you have some clothes of his? So she was like, yeah. So she go get some clothes. But then she go turn around and say, but I wash them every week. So they just like, well, what good is this going to do us? Any DNA that may be here is gone. It's long gone, right? So then they asked about a driver's license. And so from that, they were able to pull some DNA. And sure enough, it matched. So he was definitely the father of whoever hurt this baby. So they was just like, okay, we know that there now is an outside child. And so they was just like, okay, so, but where do we go from here? You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, so they decide to test all the women. And so they do that. None of the women come up and say, you know, they had a child or that there was a match. And so then, let me see. So then that's when the scientists came up with like, hey, there's this allele and it can only belong to one person and there was a match. And so they found the lady that had that same allele. And that's how they were able to figure out, well, who was her child? And her child belonged to the father on the other side of town, right? And the guy that did it, I think they were calling him Man X or 1X or something. The guy that hurt the little girl, right? He actually worked with the little girl's father at this construction site. So that's how he knew about the little girl. And anyway, but they were able to demolish him in court. Justice was served. He was found guilty. And although the family had to live with that heartache, they were at least able to gain some closure. It was a pretty good movie. It was. I'm not going to say it's a must-see, but if you're looking for something, you just don't have anything else, it's a good one to check out. So go check it out. You know, I'm trying not to go too deep into these things. But yeah, go ahead and check it out. Like I said, I'm not going to say it's a must-see, but if you're just perusing through and you don't have anything specifically that you want to see, that's one to check out. It's one to check out. My favorite part of that was just like how they utilize the DNA and worked backwards from it to figure out who the person was that did harm to their baby. All right, that was it. Next one, this was also on Netflix. Like I said, I think all of these are on Netflix this week. Pinocchio. If y'all haven't seen it, it was pretty good. I watched it with my son and I'm trying to think. I don't know what the rating was on this. Like, I surely hope it was not G-rated or PG-rated, like some parts of there. I'm just like, is this a grown-up Pinocchio or a kid's Pinocchio? Because, like, some of that stuff, I was just like, ooh, I would not want my baby watching it. Especially if you had a baby, like some of the things, like they telling kids they going to the war and everything. Like you have children around here frightened, like, you know, but it was cool. I love the graphics. It was just a different aspect of Pinocchio. But the overall theme, the lessons, it was cool. It was cool. It was, like an older child. Even I'm not gonna even say just children, because I actually did enjoy it, you know what I'm saying? It did catch my attention initially. Like I said, I just put it on for my son, but like we'll sit there and watch stuff together sometimes. And so I actually did enjoy it. Like I said, I enjoyed the graphics. And believe it or not, and hey, don't judge me, judge yourself, I have never seen Pinocchio. Like, I know the concept, or ever really read the story. Like I said, I know the concept. Like, we kind of hear that throughout the life. Like, when he lied, his nose grew. So I don't know if this was something new as far as getting a story beforehand of how Geppetto had a little boy of his own that passed away. And then that was the reason he built Pinocchio. Like, I don't know if that was something new to this Pinocchio, or if that's just part of the traditional story anyways. But yeah, like I said, it was pretty good. I really did enjoy the graphics. And so yeah, check that out. Like I said, to me personally, like little itty bitty kids, I think there would be like some parts of it that would kind of frighten them. So just be mindful of that. Like my son, he's 12, you know, in age. Developmentally, he's under the age of 1 though. And the thing about it though, cognitively, he just wasn't able to get the whole concept of things. But like, he loves to hear like different voices, because he's visually impaired too, y'all. So he loves to hear like different voices, and especially if there's like singing. And so there was some singing in there, so he enjoyed those aspects. But like, some of the themes that came across, like if he was like a younger child, 3 and 4 and 5, like I would kind of be like, I don't know if I want him to watch this version of Pinocchio or whatever. But anyway, yeah, so just kind of be mindful of that. But other than that, it's another good one to check out. I'm not going to say it's a must-see. Again, it could be like one of those things if you're just kind of in passing. Like I said, I really didn't put it on for me to watch. I put it on for him to watch, and end up sitting down and watching it with him. So, yeah. But, okay, let's see. Another show that I've been watching is Harry and Meghan. And this one I just kind of happened upon because I was like, I had been seeing it. And I was like, oh, no, I'm not going to watch it. Keep moving. Let me see what else I can find. But a lot of times I'm so busy around here where I just don't have time to just sit down and watch TV. So I play like different podcasts or vlogs, or just something that I could just listen to without necessarily having to watch the screen. And so it was like one of those days where I had listened to like all my little YouTube shows, my blogs, you know, and I was like, okay, let me just go on and see what this about. So I put it on and I was just listening to it, and it actually ended up kind of piquing my interest. So it was pretty good. And so they have, I think there are already 3 or 4 episodes out. And then every Thursday, a new one drops. So we just got a new one this past Thursday. I haven't actually watched that one as of yet. But up until that point, I've seen it, and it basically just kind of talks about, it goes through like how they met, how they got to be where they are now. It's interviewing, like, and it's like from their point of views. You see like different interviews from present, and then some from like back then. You see interviews from like different family or friends. They even talk about like Harry kind of growing up and his history with his mom. And just kind of talks about like Meghan, like trying to assimilate into the royal family, and you know, so it's been pretty interesting. I will say I liked it more than I thought I would. Because like I said, it was not something I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to watch that. And it really wasn't. And I actually bypassed it several times. It wasn't until I had run out of things to watch that I actually came back to watch it. But it's pretty good. And so I'm going to continue the series. Like I was actually waiting until it came out yesterday, the new episode, but I didn't get a chance to because yesterday was just so hectic, as well as today just was busy. But yeah, so again, I wouldn't necessarily say this is a must-see, but it's definitely something worth checking out if you get a chance, especially like if you are interested in how things have been with them and what's going on, and you just want more insight into their lives, because up until now it seems like it's been very private, and they've kind of tried to shield the public from what's been going on with them. But just learning like little interesting things, like how they even, like when I say they, like the royal family, have a contract with like the media people over there, where they have to consent to having their lives on display, essentially. So, I mean, yeah. So, you just learned a lot of little fun tidbits too. So, like I said, it's worth checking out. But would I say it's a must-see? No. But yeah, it definitely is worth checking out if you ever get a chance. I wouldn't necessarily say, let's run this to the top of the list, but you can put it on the list if that makes sense. And like I said, a new episode drops every Thursday. All right. The next movie I watched was the Noel Diary, and it was a Christmas movies. I think I've seen 2 or 3 Christmas movies. And I will say this about the Christmas movies I've seen on Netflix. Like, they've been really cheesy. Like a girl meets boy, boy meets girl, they fall in love, and they live happily ever after. You know what I'm saying? It's literally been that kind of thing, like a Lifetime or Hallmark movie. You know, so basically with the Noel Diary, there was this big time writer. His mom passed away. She left him everything. So he goes to her house. She was some type of hoarder. So he's spending days there trying to clean up the house, go through things. And while he's there, and he's a white guy. So while he's there, this black lady comes up and she's just like, hey, I was trying to figure out, I think you may know who my mom is. And he's just like, basically, no. Long story short, her mom used to be the guy's nanny. She used to work for the family. So she never knew her mom, her real mom, because she gave her up. She was a young girl when she had her, like 17 or something like that. And so now she's on that journey to figure out who she is and find her. And so within that, we learned that the writer has been ostracized from his father. His father lives somewhere all by himself, all isolated. And so since he didn't have much to tell her about her mom, they figured, let's go see my dad. He wants to reconcile, try to see if he can reconcile things with him. And she wants to see if she can get some information from him about her mother. So, lo and behold, they decide to make that journey together. Like, I would not be getting in this car going on a road trip with somebody I just met in the day. But hey, y'all know how these cheesy movies go. So they do. And they end up having to stay in a hotel overnight. And they get separate rooms at first. And they make it to the dad's house. He was able to tell her about her mom. And then the mom had written a letter. And he just so happened to have it. So she got an address for her mom. And then the writer guy was able to reconcile with his father. Get back on good footing. Because apparently, when they were younger, well, when he was younger, the writer, he was a boy. He had a brother that fell out of the tree and didn't make it. He didn't survive his injuries. And so after that, the father kind of left the family. So they were able to discuss that, why the father felt he needed to leave. And so they got on better footing with that. So then the two of them make their trek back home, because it was some miles and miles away. And they end up staying at the hotel again, but this time it was only one bedroom left, so they share a bedroom. Ends up, he finds out it's the girl's birthday, so he wants to make it extra special. He starts doing all this and ordering her this, that, and the other. And they get back home. Well, the thing is, the girl was engaged to this other guy. All right. And she done went off on this road trip with a complete stranger. Yes, yeah. So anyway, apparently their relationship wasn't what it should have been, no way. So she breaks off the engagement. The writer comes and finds her. And yes, she did reconcile with her mother or figure out where she was, yada, yada, yada. And so the guy kind of finds her. And he's just like, you know, you're who I want to be with. Yada, yada, yada. And they eventually get together. At first, she kind of, you know, rejected his advances. But then she pops up on his doorstep and like, you know what? I'm ready for this. I'm ready to be all in. And they get together and they live happily ever after. And that's it. If you're into those cheesy kind of movies, go for it. If you're not, don't even bother. Same thing. Same ending, just a different story told. You know what I'm saying? The other Christmas movie I saw was I Believe in Santa again. Man meets woman, woman meets man. They fall in love and they live happily ever after. Another cheesy movie. So apparently this lady, she's single, she got a daughter, she meets this attorney. And he's overly zealous about Christmas. He still believes in Santa Claus. While this woman is the complete opposite. Like, she hates Christmas. And she definitely does not believe in Santa Claus. And he's very adamant that Santa Claus is real at his big grown age. Talking about it's the magic of Christmas. And so they end up breaking up over this one fact that he's this way about Christmas and the fact that she hates it. And when he came out to say that he believes in Santa Claus, she was just like, that's it for me. I would have to think that would be it for me too. If this big grown ass man came to be talking about there is a Santa Claus, though. I would be like, you ain't wrapped too tight or whatever. But anyway, she got to thinking because he was very good with her daughter. Like, even when she broke things off, he came to the rescue to help her build this sled for this contest. And they end up getting in the sled and winning and yada, yada. Y'all know how it goes. And so they end up getting together. And he proposes and he's just like, you know, I want to marry you. I was wrong for trying to push my beliefs off on you. Yada, yada, yada. And so the little girl's just like, yes, Santa is real. So the mom was like, what you mean Santa real? And she's like, because I asked for Santa to, but y'all, I asked Santa for y'all to get married and y'all about to get married. And so they get together. They kind of meet in the middle with their differences. And that's it. They live happily ever after. Like the other Christmas movie. If you're into those cheesy things, check it out. If not, don't bother. You got to put it on your list. All right. Lady Chatterley's Lover. Oh, now this one is a must-see. I loved it. I love this one. Okay. And it's a bit graphic, so if this ain't your thing, you gotta think of the title, The Lover, Lady Chatterley's Lover. So when I say graphic, that's what I'm talking about, because baby, they getting that skin. So basically, this girl, she's kind of, you know, ordinary. She meets this rich guy, marries him like he's a big deal. And so they really don't know each other. And he takes her off, I think to London. Or I think it was London. I don't know. But anyway, So now she's known as Lady Chatterley. And so the thing is, like, almost immediately after getting married, he had to go off to war. So when he came back from the war, he was injured. Like, he was in a wheelchair. And I'm kind of thinking he was paralyzed because at one point, like when he first got home and they moved to London where he grew up, she kind of tried to initiate having sex with him. And he started, but then, you know, he was like, I can't. So I'm thinking he was paralyzed because he was saying he can't get it up. And so, and you got to think back during that time, you know, heirs were very important. You know what I'm saying? So, can I just answer? Because this is what I was thinking. Because you can't get it up. Because he had his upper body strength, y'all. He could have been doing some other things to at least please his wife. Just because you can't get pleased. You can't get no satisfaction. Don't mean your wife's supposed to lay up there and not get none. But anyway, instead of him taking a chance and trying to do that to please her in that manner, he tells her that she can take a lover and that hopefully she would get pregnant because, like I said, an heir is important. And so he was just like, you get pregnant and we can pass it off as our baby, right? I'm thinking like, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? And, you know, she slick trying to get mad at him for even suggesting a thing. But then you can tell she interested because she's slick asking questions like, well, if I do this, should I tell you who he is, you know? And he was like, no, it's better that I don't know, right? So, long story short, y'all, she ends up having an attraction to the gamekeeper that keeps their yard, right? And now, I'm sure when he said to go out and get somebody and get pregnant by him, he was not meeting somebody right up under their nose. And I don't know if she just literally meant for that to happen, but, you know, she saw him one night and she just became intrigued. I think he was showering and he ain't had no clothes on, right? So she didn't like what she saw, baby. And so she just made it a point to come down to where the little hut was. And that's where he stayed because it was just like a little hut on their property. Because like I said, he was the gamekeeper. He was the groundskeeper or whatever. And the little hut was on the estate somewhere. And so she would make her way down there. And then she literally just came on to him like, he wasn't trying to or nothing, but like she like literally jumped in my bones, baby. And from there on out, it was on. Every time you turn around, them folks were screwing every which way, every which way. It was just, it was crazy. And so, you know, they had to hire help also inside. So he had like a nurse that kind of stayed with him throughout the day. So the nurse was like the first person to kind of come up upon them, the two, Lady Chatterley and the gamekeeper doing the do. But she kept her mouth shut about it, right? And so Lady Chatterley ended up getting pregnant. So she wanted her husband to think that she got pregnant elsewhere, not by somebody near them. So she tells her husband, well, I'm going to go with my sister, I think to Sicily or something like that. And so that was the plan. So she had told him, I'm going to be gone about 3 or 4 weeks. So she wanted to pass it off like she went there and came back pregnant, although she was already pregnant. So while she was gone, word kind of gets out because somebody broke into the hut and found some of her things in the hut where the guy was taken up, where he was sleeping in it, living. And so word got out that Lady Chatterley and this gamekeeper was doing the do. So all these rumors started running around town that she was having an affair on her husband. And so the nurse that was taking care of her husband, like I said, she had kept her mouth shut. It's like she was riding for Lady Chatterley, even though she knew she was doing wrong. And so she calls Lady Chatterley down in Sicily. And she tells her, hey, you need to get back because the gamekeeper, I can't think of his name, he's about to leave. Basically, the husband had fired him once the rumors got out. And so Lady Chatterley, she sneaks back into town and she's just like, I love you. I want to be with you. So she goes to her husband and she basically tells him, yeah, the rumors are true. I want a divorce. Now you got to mind you, divorce was not a thing back then. Not for the elite. You know what I'm saying? And so he was like, no, you're not going to tarnish our family name, yada, yada. And she's just like, no, I love him. And she left. And she's like, I give up all of this for love. And so she went a while trying to find him because back then, you know, they ain't have the technology we have now. So she never knew where he was. And then finally, they found each other. He had started over on some farm. And at this point, she had started to show. So I'm thinking she was probably nearing the end of her pregnancy or whatever. And she figures out where he is. Baby, that woman traveled to get to him too, baby. Asking, well, have you seen such and such? Where does he live? And so when she gets to where he lives, she doesn't see him. She's looking all around, here, there, walking the crooked mile again. And the man walks up behind her. They kiss and hug because they back in each other's arms. And she gave it all up for true love. And that was the end. Like, okay, that's all abbreviated. It really was good, though, y'all. Y'all should watch it. And if you like some raunchy sex scenes, you'll get there because they be getting it in, baby. All right. Let me see. The last one I want to talk about is cake. Oh, no. I got another one. Let me go and do cake. So cake is an old one. This made me think of it. So cake came out in 2014. So Jennifer Aniston, she's in there. She plays this woman named Claire, who is living with chronic pain after being in a car accident that killed her son, right? And so she's been going to this support group for people who live with chronic pain. And so there was this lady in her support group, Nina, who took her own life. And so Claire just became obsessed with finding out about Nina and her life. Like, she went to the place. So Nina had jumped off a bridge. She done went to the place, to the bridge where the lady jumped off. She asking the people around, did they see anything? And then she finds out where Nina lives. She goes to the house where Nina had a husband. She was married and a little boy as well. And so she goes, she knocks on the door, and the husband answers the door. And she's just like, I know it's going to sound weird, but I used to live in this house. And is it okay if I just look around? So he lets her in and talking about, yeah, I see y'all done a lot of updates. And he's like, yeah. And then he takes her to the little boy's room. She was like, oh yeah, this used to be my room when I was a little girl. And she was like, of course it was painted all different because the boy's room is painted like a little boy's room. And so the husband was just like, well, what did it look like when you lived here? She was just like, oh, my mom had painted a scene from the Nutcracker. And he was just like, well, what scene from the Nutcracker? She's like, you know, the one with the mice and yada, yada, yada. And I'm laughing, y'all, because the guy knew she was lying the whole time. But he just let her walk through the house talking about, oh, yeah, that's different. This used to be such and such. And he let her do all that. He let her fake that whole story till she was leaving out. And he was just like, you put up quite the act. And she was just like, what do you mean? He was like, such and such already called me before you showed up. And such is the person she got the address from. And so she's just like, why you let me, that was shitty of you to pretty much to let me go through all of that. He's just like, no, I think she said that was effed up of you to let me go through all of that. And he said, well, you effed up anyway. She was though. So she was kind of like, so she had been an attorney. And since the accident though, and I think it had only been like a year, she had become addicted to pain medicine. She would like drink. And then like her pain was so bad that whenever she rode in the car, she had to ride with the seat basically laid back as much as it could. Like, so that it almost looked like she was just laying flat on her back. And so anyway, long story short, she keeps seeing the husband, like she keep popping up, like she's just very needy. And I think she's just kind of trying to, I don't know, she got a lot of ish going on with her, you know what I'm saying? And so, and we don't get at the very beginning, like we don't find out that she actually had a little boy that died in the car accident until some point later on in the movie. And so, which kind of explains like why she kind of in this mental space that she is, because she's clearly not healthy. And you could tell that she's also contemplating taking her life, you know, like she's even gone so far as to do actions to do so, like she jumped in a pool holding a weight. You know what I'm saying? And then at the last minute came up for air. So it's things like that, you know. And so her and the guy, you know, end up forging a friendship. But he's just like, he tells her, like, I can't save you, right? And so during the time that they're becoming friends, well, Claire starts to hallucinate. And she's hallucinating about the lady Nina that passed. So Nina is coming to her and she's telling her things like, you know, basically making her face her fears and everything that's going on with her, like the passing of her son or, you know, like those type of things, just making her face herself. And so let me see. Nina, I mean, not Nina, but Claire, she just kind of, Claire is just a hot mess. She's a hot mess. She ends up overdosing because her, okay, so let me tell you, she also has this housekeeper that's also her / driver, that's also her door person, like, and I'm laughing, but I'm kind of exaggerating, but the lady is like her housekeeper, but she does all these other things for her because she really cares about her, and I think she sympathizes with the pain she's going through, but Claire treats her like ish, she does. And so, her name's Savannah. And so Savannah takes it upon herself to invite Nina's husband and their little boy over for lunch because she kind of sees that it's been good for Claire to have that content. And so they come over for lunch. They're having lunch, having a good time when there's a knock at the door. So end up, the person at the door was the guy that hit Claire. And Claire went ballistic. She started beating on him, man. She started yelling at him. And all of this in front of Nina's husband and his little boy. So after that, they left. And after that, she took all these pain medicines, washed it down with some little alcohol. And like, that was it. She was trying to end it. But then she ended up throwing it up and she wakes up in the hospital. So in the hospital, Nina comes to her again, and this time they're talking about what was like the one thing that you wish you could do last thing if you didn't have all this pain, or something to that effect. And so this was like a question that had been asked in their support group. And so they talk about their responses. And Claire's response was like, have sex with a whole football team or something like that. But Nina's response was to make a homemade cake for her son's birthday, you know. And so in this hallucination, Nina is holding a birthday cake with 6 candles, and she's lighting them. And so with that, she tells Claire to blow out the candles to make a wish. And then she jumps out the window with the cake. Nina does. The hallucination of Nina jumps out the window with the cake. Right? So when Claire leaves the hospital, she tells Savannah to take her to the drive-thru. She wants to go to the drive-thru. And the significance of the drive-thru, that was where she had met her husband, or that was their first date or something like that. But anyway, so she tells her, Savannah, let's go to the drive-thru. So while they're at the drive-thru, she leaves Savannah in a car supposedly to go get some more snacks and soda and stuff. But she ends up cutting through a gate or a fence and going to a railroad track. And she lays on a railroad track, and she has another hallucination of Nina. And this is the last hallucination of Nina she sees. But so Nina is trying to get her to admit that she is a good mother. And I think she was carrying the guilt that her child had been killed in that car accident. And it made her feel like, I'm not a good mother. Like, that was my fault. I think she was blaming herself. But she finally admitted right before the train comes. She gets up from the track. She lives her life. And she starts to feel better. She starts to work to get over her pain. And it ends with her getting this little young girl that tried to rob her to make this homemade cake. And so the little young girl did end up robbing her. But the cake was so good that Claire didn't even get upset about the girl robbing her. But she took the cake and she took it to Nina's husband and the little boy because it was his birthday. And that's kind of how it ends. And so that was the thing that his mom wished she could have done if she had not been in so much pain. And so, full circle moment with it being called Cake. That was a good movie. That really was. You know what I'm saying? That was good. I enjoyed that one. If you get a chance, definitely watch that one. And definitely watch this next one I'm finna bring up. It's another oldie. And this was like 2013. I'm just like, well, I don't even remember hearing about this one. It's called Prisoners. And I think it's actually #1 on movies for Netflix right now. But y'all, when I say that movie was so good, it was good. It was so good. Yeah, it was about like these two little girls that get taken, and they kind of blame this one guy that had been outside near their homes in like this RV. And so they suspect him. And so one of the dads, okay, so it's a white family and a black family, right? So both girls come from one of the two families, you know what I'm saying? So a white little girl, a black little girl. And so the white little dad, the dad of the white little girl, sorry, he ends up kidnapping the dude that was in the RV. Like, he had already been clear by the police that he did not do it. The dad did not believe it. He didn't want to accept it. So he kidnaps the guy and takes him to this abandoned apartment building that he owned. And he locks the guy up in there. Like, he builds a whole wall around the bathtub. He puts the guy in the bathtub. And he fixes the water where it's either scalding hot or freezing cold. Yeah, and before he did that, he beat the guy up so bad that he was just swollen, like he couldn't even open his eye. Like his head was probably about this big, and then it was like this big after being beat up. And the guy just kept saying he didn't do it, he didn't know. And so he finally started dropping clues like, it's a maze, it's a maze. And so it's just like, what are you talking about? And so meanwhile, the guy that the man kidnapped, he had lived with his aunt, right? Y'all, these people been trying to figure out where these little girls are, who took them, yada, yada, yada. The whole time, it was the aunt. The aunt is this old lady, right? Old lady. Looking like she's somebody's grandmama. Baby, the thing was feisty, though, and she was quick. And she was conniving. Like, at one point, the dad of the little white girl came to knock on the door. And he was just coming because he had figured out she was the one, because he started having all these clues like lined up. Like the black girl was able to escape, the little black girl. And so when she was able to escape, of course, she had went to the hospital. And so when he was in the hospital, when the little girl was in the hospital, you know, he came, he was just like, is such and such still, the little black girl name was Joy. What's the little white girl? I don't know. The little white girl, is she still alive? Is she alive? Where is she? You know? And, you know, of course, the little black girl wasn't talking at first. And so, when she started talking, what really tipped him off was the little girl told her, you were there. And so, the dad of the little white girl had gone to visit the aunt. He had gone to apologize to her. And so, yeah, to figure out, really, I think he was there trying to figure out some clues, but he still was not suspecting her at that time. He was trying to figure out clues or find out more about the guy he had kidnapped. And so when that little girl said, you were there, it all just started clicking. Everything that he had seen, and like how the guy had said it's a maze. And then there was like, it was a lot of stuff that had to do with this maze. Like, y'all gonna have to watch the movie, like, because this video getting longer and longer. So anyway, long story short, the dad figured out. So he went back to the aunt's house. And the aunt came to the door, her hand wrapped up, talking about she had cut it. And she had like a towel over, baby. And she cut no hand. That man came in their house. And she had that thing pointing at him. She said, nah, put it down. And then she made him put some handcuffs on himself. Then she made him drink this drink that was supposed, you know, it was like some kind of poison. Baby, she ended up kidnapping him, dropping him down in a hole in the ground. And don't you know, she said this is what her husband were doing to get rid of the Christian people. You know, they take kids so they can lose faith because their child had been taken away from them. And then at the very end, so nobody knew where the dad was of the white little girl because she had kidnapped him. But they did figure out that the aunt was the one, and she ends up taking her own life when the police got there or whatever. And so toward the end, we see the police officer, the detective on the case. He's standing on the ground, like right near where the dad was at underground. And so the thing was, there was this whistle down there that belonged to his little girl. And so all of a sudden the detective starts hearing this whistle. And he's just like, did I hear something? No, I ain't hear nothing. And then you can hear this whistle again. And so the detective definitely knows he's hearing this whistle. But that's kind of how it goes off. So you don't know, we don't know if the detective ever found him, if the detective went searching for where this noise is coming from or anything. It's just ambiguous how it all ended. But y'all, I'm kind of, again, just giving you abbreviated thing, but it's so, because it's so intricate. It was just so many intricate details. I can't even just tell it all. Like, I would have to be here the whole hour, and I'm already getting on the hour. So, out of everything I've mentioned, if I have said there is a must watch, it will be this one, Prisoners. And it came out in 2013. Like I said, I don't even remember it. But 2013 was a difficult year for me. It was kind of early on. My baby had just kind of gotten out of the hospital, was fighting for his life. And so we were just kind of trying to bounce back and find our new normal. So that's the only thing I can think of as far as how I missed this. Like, I don't even recall any previews or anything. But y'all, definitely check that out. Prisoners. The other one I would say is Cake. And both of those, like I said, are older movies. Prisoners was 2013. Cake was 2014. But those are definitely ones to check out. Everything else I mentioned, yeah, do it if you get the chance. The only two that I would say would be those Christmas movies. The First Noel. I mean, the First Noel. The Noel Diary. And I Believe in Santa. So, anyway, I think I might try to do this on a Friday. Just tell y'all what I've been checking out for the week. Especially since our regular shows are not on right now. And I don't really have a whole lot of recaps and reviews. So I might come in and give y'all like a quick snippet of what I've been watching. And y'all drop down in the comments if you've seen anything that I've mentioned. Tell me your thoughts about it, what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it. And if you have any suggestions of something I need to catch up on, let me know that also in the comments. Y'all, that's all I got for y'all. And until next time, I'll pray for y'all. Y'all pray for me. Peace out, y'all.